The number one problem in Haiti is our so-called intellectuals. The suit and tie nigger. Those whom have earned diplomas and degrees. Wordsmiths. Also, the administrators of the Haitian Holocaust. They are the Judas amongst us that continues to wine and dine in the synagogue of thieves. They have signed an oath to aid and abet in the genocide of Haitian people. Sponsored by yours truly, IMF and the World Bank. Right here in the backyards of America, in what should be considered the Mecca and spiritual center for not only the descendants of those who have gone through the Middle Passage, but to all the human families of the planet Earth. And there is a people, a society that goes through extreme measures to delete the history of a people who has made the platform of freedom and liberty viral. So, today I say we must discontinue the habit of permitting the suit and necktie nigger, the well-spoken, the proud, with European degrees and European solutions to be the decision makers in the mouth of the people. It's just something about a nigger and a necktie. You know he's scheming as soon as he come around. What, you about to cash a check, nigga? No black man that feels so comfortable with a rope around his neck should be allowed to decide and represent our people. And that's real. That's real. You ain't woke, nigga. Fuck around, get us all killed. Yeah, they talk all that rebel shit. As soon as that necktie nigga goes behind closed doors with that peck of wood, he ain't making no demands. He don't command shit. A nigga in a suit and necktie, bow tie, smelling like Martha's Vineyard, having us march up and down talking about fight for our rights. But my live motherfuckers know y'all ain't busting a grape. You ain't suited up for fighting nothing. We know the bullshit you got on is attire to go to the bank and cash checks. You ain't ready for war. That ain't no war gear. Ladies and gentlemen, I only went there to come here. In Haiti, a shithole country located right here in the backyards of America. And there exists a system that has lost all logic and reason. A Holocaust system administered by a department of corruption, established to infiltrate and destabilize every and any structure pertaining to social, political, and economical. It was 1944 in Brinton Woods, New Hampshire. A group of Caucasian men created the ultimate Ponzi scheme to take control of the world and its resources by fabricating artificial poverty. And to achieve this Ponzi scheme of globalizing artificial poverty, this required the cooperation of countries lacking military and economic power. Bankers, along with influential leaders around the world, were sent in to administer to the institutions that would be set in place as a fork on the road for third world countries in Africa, in Guatemala, the Philippines, and Haiti. So the IMF, International Monetary Fund, backed by the World Bank, and military force, under the guise of providing economic resource to reshape poor countries. And the IMF was the artificial leaf cultivated to cover their nude corruption. Bankers, investors were sent in as agents who are referred to as junior partners to take control of institutions, government, and resource. And these agents are paid in irrefutable wages to achieve the agenda in a new way of things. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I only went there to come here. In Haiti, diplomatic relations must go through these junior partners, secret agents that have kept third world countries such as Haiti in their pockets. To understand Haiti, one must get out of Haiti. And from the outside looking in, with microscopic vision, you will see the perpetrators of the Haitian Holocaust. The junior partners that were sent in to impose socio-economic embargo by recruiting the suit, bow tie, necktie nigga. The programmed, the trained, the institutionalized nigga. They were to instill the fear and teach Haitians obedience and back to a state of servitude. The proud nigga in a bow tie. His fashion statement is a noose, a rope around his neck. And so comfortable in it. And they have lost all knowledge of self. They have sold the deeds and titles to Haiti in return for acceptance and approval of the peckerwood. French-speaking niggas with diplomatic immunity, dual citizenship, a member of the club. And the suit and necktie niggas are here only to carry out orders, even if the socio-political economic stability is compromised. The religious bow tie nigga was charged with the task of demonizing Haitian culture and spirituality. And what Haitian people must understand is that these bow tie, necktie niggas are only role players, dogs on a short leash, actors. The necktie niggas are charged with the task of executing economic policies that will allow big corporations of America and other superpower countries to take control of resource. Policies of the World Bank and Western economists. So how long will it take for Haitian people to see the wolves? The wolves in sheep's clothing. Today, the Haitian diaspora is very comfortable and quite content with being domestic servants for America, France, Canada, or any country with a light bulb. With the constant importation of secondhand trash from other countries, the Haitian diaspora has made Haiti into a dump site. And since Haitians are too busy being servants abroad, they are absent in government, nowhere to be found in the academic sector. In Haiti, Haitians are still waiting for a shipment of new science and technology for social construction and development. The diaspora has failed to protect the sovereignty of Haitian people. Haitian farmers, for example, had the capacity to provide rice to America, the whole Caribbean, all year round. But for just a temporary status, to be allowed to stay as servants in America, the diaspora will march barefooted from Little Haiti to Washington, and to go as far as voting against our only true ally, Venezuela, and its oppressed people. And because of negotiations made by necktie niggas, Bill Clinton and the Clinton Foundation of Corruption managed to sabotage and destroy all agricultural production. And yet, the diaspora continue to beg and march and plead for temporary status. For those who know, I don't have to remind you of history. The whole world is a witness to the Haitian Holocaust. You can't tell me you don't know about the poisoning of our wells and reservoirs by the hands of the United Nations. And you know damn well about the lumberjacking of our forest, the contamination of land to destroy crops and kill cattle. That is not to mention the outside interference in our elections. It appears as if there is a blueprint for chaos to control Haiti. In the case of Charlemagne Perrault and his warrior Kakos, who fought against military occupation and the invasion of Haiti by white supremacists. Charlemagne and his warrior Kakos was such a force to reckon with that the occupying military had to send for more troops and update strategies and special tactics. The Kakos' effectiveness eventually led to the control of the north of Haiti. And it was a necktie nigga, Jean-Baptiste Conze, who found it fit to take a bribe of $2,000, ladies and gentlemen, in exchange for Haiti's sovereignty. Enough so that Jean-Baptiste Conze led U.S. mercenaries. Mercenaries that would assassinate Charlemagne and all hopes of socio-economic development. Bear with me, my people. I'm almost done. But this one should take the cake. A Catholic priest who spent a lifetime of worshiping white saints and have managed to make our people submit to the will of white God and white supremacy. And to show his loyalty to white supremacy, following the orders of his master, Jean-Bertrand Aristide eliminated from the flag the color black, which represented the people, by replacing it with the color blue to show alliance and loyalty to the Pekka world. Aristide, an officer of the Vatican. But to the oligarchs, an educated nigga in a business suit and tie posed no threat until he uses intellect. Jean-Bertrand Aristide eventually started to figure it out that France and the United States have kept Haiti in an economic headlock for more than 200 years. And Aristide's fatal mistake was to speak loud and ill against it, against the exploitation of resource, sanctions and embargo, constant inflation of the dollar. So once again, another suit and necktie nigga, a U.S. trained Haitian military officer, Chief General of the Army, Raoul Cedras, a traitor who seduced Aristide with the kiss of Judas, a death kiss that set the coup d'etat of 1991. Operation Overthrow Lavalas. Lavalas was the flood, the avalanche, signifying purification of Haiti and the washing away of corruption. And it is said, once a slave is awakened, only the bullet will put him to sleep. And perhaps it is because of Aristide's persistence of reminding the world of the abuse by United States and France, and that Haiti has a right to ask for reparations, restitution, and return of stolen property. In 2004, Jean-Bertrand Aristide, the now fully awakened slave, who no longer desire relations with France and United States, but for a sense of independence. Jean-Bertrand Aristide's ultimate sin was to stand proud as an African. Once again, a coup d'etat, this time by the Haitian media, orchestrated by necktie, bow tie wearing nigger journalists in return for visas and diplomatic relations with white liberals. Ladies and gentlemen, at present, Haitians should understand, today and now, no matter the level of education, no matter how well spoken, a Haitian nigger in a suit and necktie will only lead us to the top and edge of a cliff. Today, Haiti is annexed and still remains in isolation. Haiti, the first black republic, is now an experimental laboratory for the superpower. Artificial poverty, international blockades, artificial storms and earthquakes, the contamination of water by United Nations troops, economic hitmen disguised as Western-owned NGOs, human traffic. But what is far more insidious is that there exists a culture of religious suit and necktie niggas. They are the most influential. The Christianized bow tie necktie nigga. And they have instilled fear and demonized the culture of Haitian people, the most spiritually inclined. Jovenel Moise, a not so bright, not too educated field nigga, who was selectively elected by the bourgeois. Rich investors at the request of the United States. The same necktie, bow tie, journalist, Haitian nigga who campaigned and lobbied for Jovenel Moise. These same bow tie niggas, in less than 1 year of Jovenel's rule, was to broadcast the assassination of Moise's character. Jovenel Moise, the field nigga, did not look like the normal president. Too comfortable in Timberland boots. Too comfortable living amongst the people. Incapable of establishing a stable government due to opposition, who refused to even negotiate to logic and reason. To emphasize, Haiti's independence is not in the best interests of white supremacists. So political explosives were set in Jovenel's path. Explosives that were set to detonate at any given thought of disobedience. As for the oligarchs, Jovenel Moise's rude awakening was unexpectedly too soon. So how do you destroy a people who sincerely believe that life and death are one and the same? Finally, the lion has written the story of the hunter. Dimitri Vob, Reginald Boulos, Andy Aped, Sherif Abdallah, Accra, Merves, Bryant, just to name a few families of the elite bourgeois culture. They are the descendants of Arab and European slave traders, some of whom have never left. And they have forged their identity as Haitians in order to confiscate and seize territory and resource. Haitian people should not be fooled. There are no such thing as a white Haitian. As for the rich, birth takes place outside of Haiti, and a little bastard will return to Haiti with dual citizenship. Not one iota, I mean not one of the elites I've just mentioned above have a drop of African blood running through their veins. A crime of heinous nature has been committed. The assassination of President Jovenel Moise, right here in the backyard of America, and no one has a clue. To take part in government in Haiti, one must be accepted, permitted, or selected by the American embassy. So I ask my people, how long? How long will Haiti continue this abusive relationship? So is it true what they say? My uncle does not know he's my uncle? My uncle does not speak his own language. My uncle loves the devil because the devil gives him nothing. So I ask Haitian people, what have America and France have done for you? What have you profited from the superpower? How have the World Bank and IMF helped you? There is but one solution to this madness. Diplomatic relations with Haiti, United States, and France, the colonizer, must come to a halt. The political explosives that were set in Haiti's path were fabricated by France, America, IMF, and the World Bank leaders. And so Haiti must be free from United States occupation. It is up to the diaspora, the deeply rooted, that must clear the path for Haiti. The diaspora must be the main architect in the reconstruction of Haiti. And if we are truly to call ourselves the first Black Republic, then Haiti's system of governance must be unique to all others. The exploitation of Haiti must come to a stop, now and forever. And so, the barbaric assassination of Jovenel Moïse will remain a mystery unless or until co-defendants of the mercenaries are removed from the seats of government and justice. So in closing, I leave you with this, my live motherfuckers. L'union fait la force. Together, with unity, we are a force to be reckoned.